Man lives in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. But there is, unseen by most, an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
In around the period in which there is more sun and geomagnetic storms, we should be outside periodically, as I've said multiple times, taking in that energy, taking in that data, that information from the sun. That is coming in, especially on days in which there's no major geoengineering or chemtrailing. Drinking water that is charged by the sun is important. Just because I bring this up doesn't mean that I don't, or doesn't mean that I do this every day in my own life. I don't, but I'm trying to make personal improvements, right? I go back and forth between drinking coffee and quitting coffee, consuming some cannabis and then quitting cannabis. But for the most part, I don't drink alcohol. I try to stay away from bad foods. But I slip. But the most healing thing is getting out under the sun. Cameron Day discusses this also on his YouTube channel, right? Now, he himself recognizes the link between getting more sun and testosterone. I myself have suggested that geomagnetic storms, in fact, might actually be boosting testosterone rates in mankind. Burl Payne hypothesized this. There's a graphic that I've shared from him where it's got the MMS on one side, male macho syndrome, with the man becoming angry. On the other side, it's got the female and her relation to the moon. So it seems that women more or less respond primarily to the changes in the moon cycle, and with some men, they respond to the changes in the solar cycle. And we even see changes here on planet Earth, even when there is no geomagnetic storm, but the sun is waking up again. Sunspots are crackling again. And it's still a mystery as to what is influencing the sun itself when it becomes more active or when it is less active. But one thing is for sure, mankind is shrouded in ignorance regarding the sun cycles and how we're affected by it. And there is a hidden war, just like there was a war on the Gnostics and during the time of the Inquisition, right? Here we have, in the modern day and age, algorithms that will promote disinformation and rabbit holes that frankly go nowhere. And promising people ascension from the sun, for example, which David Wilcock does and others, isn't helping them prepare for the challenges of tomorrow as the world goes into the next level of the new dark ages. Economic collapse, World War III, transhumanism. Things are going to get worse before they get better. So promising that we're going to be saved either by certain politicians or a certain light from the sun is actually doing a disservice to the real science of the sun and how we're affected by it. So we have these different disinformation rabbit holes that people are led into, or levels of fear, and it is unfortunate. Okay, so my advice to you, if you're watching other channels, is take the information that you can use from those channels that is relevant and leave the rest. Don't expect me to follow the people that you follow, okay? Because I also follow my heart. I've watched a number of researchers over the years, more than you know, and I have criticisms regarding some of these people, and I've had dealings with some of these people and others, whether they be content creators and others, and I've had some negative experiences with others that you don't know about, and I'm trying to be more mature than I was in the past, not play victim, and just let it be for now. Maybe write a book about it later. But it's not so much about finger pointing, I'm right, you are wrong. It's not about that. It's about the truth as to the real life that I've lived behind the scenes for years, accurately discussing links between the sun and war, and in reality how the world responded to me, how the world treated me. It's not a matter of being resentful, blaming, or finger pointing, but bearing witness to my real lived life experience. I was a little shocked when I was homeless in 2014. I discuss it often because it means something to me. It's not so much the homelessness experience, and it really could have been a lot worse than it was. It was good in the sense that I kept creating content. I stayed busy. I worked on Chris Green's website, even though I don't like him, he doesn't like me. He fired me a long time ago. He let me post news to his website. That provided some cash in my pocket that kept me going, kept me staying positive. AdSense was a little bit better at that time with YouTube, so I was making a few hundred a month doing that. The point is that I was shocked to go back to the city of my birth, a supposed progressive spiritual city full of supposed psychics and quasi-witches and warlocks. You would think that people interested in magic and spirituality and counterculture would be interested in new information on how the sun impacts human consciousness, and I have yet to hear from the people of Portland, Oregon, still to this day, with regards to that information. Just boggles the mind. So I'm going to wrap things up. There's many ways you can help me get out this information on the sun. There's many ways in which you can help me take my transcripts from past videos, which you have access to. Look at the little transcript button over at YouTube. Okay, you can help me also organize other topics. I keep mentioning this need for volunteers to edit a book because I might need multiple people's help. I've reached out to a few people, but the job that needs to be accomplished is larger than what most of you know. It would actually take like a 20 to 30 minute private consultation with someone to explain my vision for the literature that I want to see created out of the spoken word content. Okay, so you want to make 2024 a positive year in your own life despite the world events that come our way. And I knew last summer, like, there is a sense of urgency to create certain things, to deliver certain messages, to do it in the moment when, if you will, the pan is hot. And it is getting hotter, literally, figuratively, on Earth. Things are heating up. World events are moving forward. And it's been my goal to get out my most basic warnings and predictions, which are not all over the map, but are pretty consistent over the years, with regards to human trafficking, World War III, rise in suicides, okay, China's role in the New World Order. I predicted before China's role in Afghanistan before they made deals with the Taliban. I predicted there would be cuddle houses in Portland, Oregon, or that someone could open up a cuddle house and profit off of the broken relationships, the gender warfare ongoing in our fallen world. And it happened. I predicted something could happen that's dystopian in Portland, Oregon. And here we have robots being unleashed in Portland, Oregon. Not walking robots like Arnold Schwarzenegger or the Terminator, although that could be coming. No, like little, R2-D2 robots, something out of, Star Wars, something to not scare us so much. Oh, look, it's a nice little R2-D2. In 1996, I wrote a short story about going into a time machine, going back to Portland, Oregon, getting out at 12th and Hawthorne in the year 2035, being greeted by a robot, not having my identification card, being detained by the robot, and people basically sitting there in that transhumanistic reality while robots make food for them, right? I wrote that in Springfield, Virginia, in English class, in 1996. Tough years in my life. I've had visions of a red sky as a child, sitting in Aurora, Oregon, daydreaming, and also thoughts of machines reading our brains. Okay. And again, threats to women's safety. When 9/11 happened, I already knew in my heart what the truth was. To me, it was obvious. And the people around me, especially one individual that blamed me personally because of my background, as if I was responsible for it. I was aware at that moment that something evil was taking place. And I was aware in July of 2001 that there was something that was attracting my energy or attention regarding Afghanistan. And me looking at some news regarding it in July of 2001, when I was going through my own personal dark ages with substance abuse and not knowing why on the root cause. Why was I suffering? Was it really just the childhood trauma and being left alone in Portland, Oregon while my father moved away and left me there as my mother left me also for another city? Was it just that, or was it something else? It was something else. It was my ultra sensitive perception at that time that we had entered into the new dark ages. And so for those that don't know, at that time in 1999, I was living in my second apartment in downtown Portland, Oregon at their Pro Court Apartments off the corner and 9th and Kearney, okay? My father had moved, okay, away from Portland with his new wife, okay, living with my father for a few years, as you know, who's from another place. It wasn't a good experience, and my father and I parted ways at that point. 9/11 had yet to happen. But I was already tapping into like this idea of, through some acid experiences and some of the other perceptions that I was having with that solar cycle, that we were in some sort of a matrix. And with 9/11 happening and me recovering from addiction, I began to realize basically that I was suffering from something, and identify that to be an inner knowing that something bad was going to happen. I believe that people on the planet knew that something bad was going to happen, but their focus was on Y2K. Their focus was not on 9/11. And many people today still, right, that look at the Y2K event as an event that didn't happen. The world didn't end in 2000. No, it didn't end. But an event did happen on September 11th, 2001. That was the beginning of the end of a certain free way of life. Not just for those of us that are Americans, but for people around the world. In China, for Muslims in India, for Muslims in Myanmar, for the people of Afghanistan, for the people of Yemen. It was an event that was used to destabilize the entire Middle East. And it's not over. Now we have October 7th, 2023, and who knows what the truth is about that unfortunate day. It's unfortunate what's happening to these IDF female soldiers in Gaza, but they are soldiers. They are not exactly regular citizens, okay? What is going on here with this directive from these New World Order controlled countries, sending out their white Caucasian women to murder brown men around the world, from the US military to the IDF? What type of a message does this send? What type of a message were they sending in Abu Ghraib in Iraq, where they tortured those detainees, made them strip naked, forming a pyramid with the woman doing the AOK symbol? How does this help Americans? How does this make America safer? How is Elon Musk making America safer? By allowing the widespread violence on his website, X, Twitter, some say X being the symbol of the Antichrist. It isn't about one person being the Antichrist, but recognizing the Antichrist energy that is channeling through these individuals that people have come to love and worship. They are the modern day false idols of our day and age. Okay, there are members of religions out there that think that they are spiritual, but they don't, in many cases, know the first thing about being spiritual, okay? You got to do more than just worship God, okay? There's certain actions that you have to take. You got to rid yourself of the entity manipulations that are controlling you, okay? So a lot of people are in denial about this. They have these ego problems, okay? And that's one of the ways that the evilest world, Shaitan, Satan, the demiurge, manipulates mankind. It is through the head, it is through the ego, okay? You got to get out of the head, and you got to get into the heart to have a deeper understanding of some of the spiritual mysteries of the universe. There's a time to be in the head and be in left brain, and there's a time to be in the heart and be in a more intuitive space, okay? From this book, Timeless Reality, I'm going to, at random, pick two various pages, as if it's a tarot deck. The last page that I read had to do with how Shaitan, or the devil, manipulates us through fear. So if you are in fear, you don't have faith. So the evil of this world, through its media, through its armies, through its video games, through its disinformation, through the peer pressure influence of the people that you know, we are being manipulated to be afraid constantly of death and to be afraid of the devil of this world. Even if people won't admit that they are afraid of the devil of this world, they will. But the greater hell is the hell that comes from the other reality when you pass from this world into another. And there is one, I believe, for those that have sinned greatly and severely, right? So we talk about murder and people that support murder and people that support people that murder. And you want to create a break in the chain. You want to break that chain and not be connected or jointed economically, financially, or otherwise to people and institutions that are involved in mass murder. Let's go for a random quote. You know, the people in the street, they're angry. Why? Because they don't see. If they could see that this is the time in which God said this world is coming to an end and very holy people are coming, why are you on the street screaming then? You should be in your house. But when they're ignorant, they want to go out and throw bricks in anger. This was written around the time of the 2020 protests. Do you not understand the last days in which there would be no justice on earth? You don't see what time this is? You're not surprised it's here now. If you don't know the time, then you become angered. I'm going to read some of this and then I'm going to respond. So there's a lot of protesters out there in Portland, where I'm from, and other places that respond with anger. What is the anger doing? What is the destruction doing? What is the burning of a building doing? What can the corrupt mayor, known as Wheeler, do to stop the wars in Gaza or the wars in this country or this, that, and the other? Nothing. Although he is a puppet, he may be under the system's control. There's a number of different reasons why I believe that. I filmed Wheeler at the Homeland Security-led exercise in 2007, where they practiced the federal government taking over the city of Roses. Ted Wheeler, as I filmed him with my camera that I borrowed from Portland Cable Access Open Signal, snapped his head at me like a robot, like a cyborg. Like he just telepathically picked up on the fact that I was filming him, with some sort of suspicion as to who is this robotic, emotionless-looking human being. And then later on, I would come to see him as mayor of Portland, Oregon. Okay, he was involved on a deeper level with that military-led, Northcom-led exercise. And don't forget, yours truly was one of the only in the independent media, except for one reporter from KBOO that was there just for one day. I was there for all 5 days. You understand how terrifying that was? Being the only person in the alternative media, right? And even knowing that Homeland Security was looking in my direction. Hey, Alex, when are you going to put up your report on your website? The guy was nice, wasn't mean, right? But I'll tell you, it took balls to do that. And it took balls to do a lot of the things that I have done over the years. Okay. It requires faith in the Almighty. And some people in this world act like that's a joke. I remember being contacted by doomsday preppers in 2012. They had seen my prepper videos and my survivalist videos and promos that I did for survivalcenter.com. I opened up a store for in Portland, Oregon in 2010 and others. And they're like, hey, Alex, you want to be on doomsday preppers? Tell us how many guns you have. Tell us how much food you have. And I respond with a little note about having faith in the Creator despite being a prepper. And not having necessarily all of those things. Certainly not a bazooka. In a world in which many men will not live without one. Cannot foresee themselves without one. And yet they think that's brave. That is not an anti-gun argument. Okay? Use your brain. It is a statement that it takes bravery and courage to walk this earth and speak out against evil while not carrying a Glock and putting it in God's hands at the same time, right? I don't believe that you can be a true servant of the Creator and be bulletproof, not in this world. And there are mullahs, there are pastors, there are other supposed messengers of God and self-described prophets that say such things. No. This planet is a fallen world. It's like we are in the dark realm that's depicted in the 1980s show Tales from the Dark Side. Then there is another world that is not so brightly lit. We are our own underworld. This reality, where there is mass bloodshed, rape, destruction, kidnapping, and the masses looking the other way, being hypnotized by false idols, and now hypnotized by electromagnetic weapons that they don't even know exists. If you haven't seen my interview with Robert Duncan, watch that. If you haven't looked into these technologies that exist, And, of course, how the elite manufacture events during solar flares. Get educated, because you're going to see a lot of things go down in 2024. This video that I'm recording right now will be re-aired in the future. Understand why they're demonizing certain belief systems. Understand why Alex Jones and others are brainwashing you into thinking that all these people that are members of a religion, a certain religion, are in a conspiracy with the opposite political party to take you out. That is exactly the narrative that he has catapulted. And people that are of a lower level consciousness, that don't create their own content, that don't do their own research, that don't have an internally built bullshit detector, they believe him. And then they fall for other lies, that those that don't believe what he is saying, that those that don't believe what Donald Trump is saying are the enemy, are the deep state, are this, are that, blah, 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 blah. It is time to deprogram from the New World Order. For years, I have thought about a self-help series for people that have been mind-fucked, but it does include healing from racism and the illusion of separation, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're a person in the Middle East who only believes that Middle Eastern or spirituality from your own bloodline is important. All that is bullshit. The illusion of separation is real. There are beautiful people, there are intelligent people, there are spiritual people in all the races. And in all the races, there is corruption. So the answer is to see all the races as valuable, but to understand that in this humanoid fallen world, all the races are susceptible to a certain level of manipulation unless certain cultures have preserved certain traditions in which they maintain a respect and a reverence for the earth, not to be consumed with worship. Those that will disrespect those that have a reverence for the earth and the sun and the moon, confusing them for sun worshipers or hating them as if they choose to do so, as if they have a right to judge someone else for their spiritual beliefs. These are not good signs, for there are beings and forms of intelligence that share this space with you and I that are both in human form and non-human form that hate the light, that respond in a very negative way when the sun becomes more active. Whereas other souls, when the sun becomes more active, they don't spaz out. They don't go on shooting sprees. They go for a walk at the park. They read a book by the water. They write a book. They do some martial arts exercises. They go on a trip. So how you respond to these changes in 2024 is up to you. But I said it before, I'll say it again. I do not subscribe to some of the fear-mongering from others. If you're going to be taken out, and the grid's going to be taken out, so be it. I've reported on that for years. But that's not the only thing to look at. Also, right, it's you that needs to ascend. It's you that needs to evolve. It's you that needs to rise above the person that you were last year. We're here to evolve. If we were already evolved, we wouldn't be here. Even those of us that may have come here as teachers, we are here to evolve also in how we teach and how we communicate in a world in which there are a lot of unpleasant spirits here that don't like our presence or our information, right? So you need to get with the times, right? Because assuming that you're going to get a solar flash that's going to enlighten you and that you don't have to do the work is magical thinking. Faith without works is dead, to borrow a phrase from AA, okay? And then we have, again, this third area that I disagree with, that's all viral, hashtag GSM grand solar minimum. No, the solar cycle right now is stronger than expected. The solar cycle right now, hashtag sunspot cycle 25, is stronger than expected. So for multiple years, even though there is some truth in some of those data and concern and reports, and there's nothing wrong with being concerned about a grand solar minimum, it's the pure pressure to believe what other people believe. It's the pure pressure to not follow your own heart, and to not follow your own guidance, and to not follow your own intuition. And that's what I've done for years, is discuss, this is something that I was born to teach. I may not be the best speaker. I may have made mistakes when I was young. I may offend people by being hashtag nonpartisan and having hashtag gnostic perspectives, and being concerned about hashtag victims of war and believing hashtag Afghan lives matter. I understand that I also discuss a whole array of other things that other solar researchers do not, but I don't see that as a weakness. I see that as enhanced abilities. And knowing that I have enhanced abilities on a level is not the same thing as narcissism. It's not the same thing as being arrogant. I have strong skills and an understanding of certain things. But when it comes to waiting tables, when it comes to working on cars, when it comes to painting houses, when it comes to a lot of things that a lot of mainstream humans do, bartending, things of that nature. While I have had some of those jobs in the past, including open up a survival store in Portland, Oregon, which was a big waste of my time, and doing other endeavors, these have never been my primary passions, okay? And if I had it my way, I would work with a team of, in some cases, up to 10 people in a newsroom, and we would crank out documentary reports. We would crank out a lot of instructional teach-ins, if you will. Just a term that I remember from Portland years ago, a teach-in. There needs to be a teach-in right now regarding Middle Eastern history so people see the beautiful side of these cultures, other than just the radical Islamic side. They need to know there are other cultures and groups that live in the Middle East other than radical Islamic groups that are also suffering when these people are bombed, when these people are starved. They need to understand that it is immoral to say just because there were terrorists in a certain region that everybody must starve, everybody must pay. That is not loving, that is not woke, that is not progressive, right? Would you like it if Russia and China were to take out the grid in the United States and say they will starve unless they take the microchip? How would you feel? Would you take the microchip, or would you feel offended? Would you go to war with the new government, with the new World Order, if they ordered you to take a microchip in order for you to eat, in order for you to bank at the new bank, while the old banks and the old credit and the old money was evaporated just like that with a series of EMPs and strategically placed and delivered missiles? We are living right now, ladies and gentlemen, in what could be a future graveyard. And instead of people waking the fuck up from all these movies that are out there depicting the future, they're going to sleep, right? It's all a movie to them. They're being hypnotized from the video games. So it's just like that scene from Howard Bill in the movie Network, as he screams to the audience to shut off their TV. And I'm telling you, periodically, to shut off certain influences, to shut off YouTube when you need to shut off BitChute, to understand that we are living now side by side with technologies that are totally new, and it's like we are the guinea pigs. People want to mock the idea of spiritual warfare through the computer screen, through the smartphone, before there even was a smartphone. These ideas were being shown in fiction in movies like Poltergeist and Poltergeist 2. They're here with a little girl with her hands on the TV, and the mysteries behind the scenes of the Poltergeist cast, with the little girl winding up dead, with other actors and actresses that have starred in many horror films winding up dead. If only people could put on the real they live glasses and see the evil of this world. The amount of entities, jinn, archons, demons, other spirits, earthbound spirits that used to be human that have not yet left the earth, if only we were able to see what is really there, it would freak some people out. You know, and when some people take psychedelics and they're in urban environments, they're oftentimes making a mistake, okay? Because in some of these urban environments in which people have been removed from nature, they open up those doorways, right? They may potentially tap into something that's going to be very, very disturbing. And it may come across as just like, quote, a bad trip, or something that, quote, ushers in a mental health crisis or depression, but really like that veil is being ripped open. Unless they're ready to see that world, it's going to be really, really upsetting. I remember when the G-Man gave me some LSD, not something I've done a lot of, but the year was 2000, during Solar Maximum. 9/11 had not happened yet. I don't know if I'd seen the Matrix film yet, but at that point I saw the Matrix, and it was upsetting. There's a lot of crying done that night as I entered into the dimension of hell, and the hell in Portland at that time, and the evil that I was perceiving around the people that I was hanging around, the perceptions that I was having, and the spirits that I was perceiving watching me during that acid trip. So we had our door open, had just like this right tint of the purple light, just the spiraling energy outside the door as the Dead Kennedys played on loop, Frankenstein or Franken something on the radio. A little bit of combination of crying and laughing as I fell back in my chair with a big loud crashing sound at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was evicted from that apartment. That was my first apartment. But the next day, my friend Yusuf, who worked at the gas station on 82nd and Foster, picked me up, and he was freaked out. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? And it's like, dude, my consciousness has just opened up to the evil of this world. Frankly, the Matrix. Not necessarily seeing like green codes, like the true, and seeing reptilians per se, picking up on just generally the evil around us. You know, Portland, the hood is transformed. It used to be very much the hood, Northeast Portland, in the 90s, the 80s, and the early parts of 2000s, and then it was, quote, gentrified. So back then, you'd see like big black guys driving their bikes, looking tough, gangbangers hanging out on MLK as you get closer to Killingsworth. And I'm tripping on like the day after acid where you're coming down and just looking at like the thuggish, ruggish bone, to quote the song from Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know, it's just alarming to me that we just live in this world of violence and just ghetto life, to quote a Rick James song. Another time I took mushrooms in 2008, living near MLK and Columbia Boulevard. And in that case, there was just like a sense of picking up on entities flying back and forth. In going back to 2000, taking acid another time where I'm living at the Procourt Apartments, I lose my sense of direction. You know, there's drug addicts coming up to the street talking to me. And I'm just like, oh, I don't even know where I am. I eventually find my way back home. Well, I haven't dabbled in that stuff for a number of years, but they do transport an individual to another dimension. And because there is somewhat of a hell dimension to this world, even though I don't really see it, with some of those psychedelics, you can see it. I think the idea is to have a wake-up call from that experience. That it's so shocking, kind of like a Scared Straight situation, like one of those TV shows, where they take some kids to prison. You can end up scared straight by seeing into those realms. Okay, and so, you know, who knows what role that experience had in me waking up to other truths later. Even some of my drug experiences that were less than pleasurable, that were traumatic, that got me in trouble. It was through the pain that I spiritually found my way home. Sitting in jail in the year 2000, you know, being sent to jail for violating parole, for having a dirty UA or something ridiculous, 2 months at a time, total of 6 months. And not even really doing anything violent or wrong, other than stealing from a store and running. All those things are things that unfortunately can happen to a drug addict in the modern day and age, especially a city like Portland, Oregon. You know, had there been at that time medical recreational marijuana in vapable form available in a dispensary that's a combination of CBD and THC during that period, and not having the G-Man around me to influence me to the dark side, perhaps I wouldn't have gone that route. What I'm trying to say here is, by studying lots of things in my life, I can see how unconscious our society is. How sometimes people end up doing drugs when they don't have unresolved trauma dealt with properly. How so many aspects of modern society and its institutions, from public education to higher education to criminal justice to the workplace to the algorithms now online that are totally unfair, to the quality of the food getting worse and worse and worse. Through my life experience, even if people like perceive it as being a victim, it's through my life experience that I've learned more about the blind spots in the human condition. And I really feel like some sort of a cosmic, off-world, almost alien walk-in reporter who's here to report on the true state of affairs of humanity before the grand event of events. So keep your eye on the prize, on the real main event that's coming. And don't be so easily manipulated and misled into disinformation from other people. They may not know it's disinformation when they put the focus on this as the event or that is the event. But as I said in a recent podcast, with the eclipse coming up in April, a lot of people are going to be feeling that catastrophobia and that sense of doom. And some people may become possessed, that are already in a dark place, that are already hanging around negative people in negative places and drinking a lot and doing a lot of drugs. And some regions of the planet, of course, can be possessed as well, okay? They've also brought back the troops from Afghanistan, and they may with Iraq. Okay, with those troops, I suspect, not to say all, there may be some spiritual veterans, but some that have murdered and done wrong, they harbor an evil spirit, and there may be evil spirits that have attached to some of them that have been coming back to America not to point the finger negatively at the refugees, but even some of them could also be carrying, unfortunately, some of these spirits from that continent that are piggybacking on the human beings that are coming here. So this whole grand experiment with weaponized migration is not there to benefit them, and it's not there to benefit the American people, okay, as we head towards collapse, right? I don't want to see them suffer and be bombed back to the Stone Age. The wars really need to end, right? But if they pull back from Iraq, it's not about having compassion for the Iraqi freedom or developing some sort of remorse. It's because they can't afford to anymore. They can't borrow any more money from the Chinese. And what's coming next is what Leon said, accurately, I believe, in that interview that you can listen to yourself. Type into YouTube psychic prediction China-Russia invasion. That they will come back, be brought back to defend the homeland. And that's what we're getting close to. A situation where they're brought back to defend the homeland. Okay, I predicted also years ago there'd be a situation at the border that may include Alex Jones, okay, in which his listeners are sent into basically a trap with Chinese troops. He just had on the guy that's leading the army of God, army. It's small right now, but it's promoted on the Alex Jones Show and Tucker Carlson. That means it's viral. Tucker and Alex are mainstream media. They're mainstream conspiracy theory. They've made conspiracy theory mainstream, but instead of people realizing the conspiracy theory and the New World Order's role in destabilizing the Middle East and fomenting racism through the algorithms and targeting Middle Eastern bloodlines, they have a comic book understanding of the New World Order, right? A multicultural New World Order, right? It's a bait and switch, right? Got my book dirty. The masters of darkness that control immigration. They have created a situation in which there will be a backlash on the immigrants here when there is a series of false flags, right? So I looked at things like this as we are in the last days to understand the spiritual essence of some of these religions, not just this, but others, right? As people are really being pushed into a new religion of worshiping money, worshiping their own ego, their own social media accounts. Many people wanting to be influencers and then being conditioned, as I said in earlier videos, to police themselves and what they say, right? You can be a Palestinian influencer or a Pakistani influencer, but if you talk about the plight of your own people, if you talk about injustice in the world, if you talk about Shaitan, Satan, the demiurge, and speak from a gnostic perspective, you ain't going nowhere, honey. You ain't going nowhere. Just keep making food. Keep showing your kids, keep doing that, the makeup, keep showing your beauty, baby. Keep showing that ass. Keep doing that, then yes, you will go far on the algorithm. But if you don't, you will find yourself shadow banned, and you won't even know why. One woman was angry she was shadow banned. She was Iranian, and she allegedly went to YouTube. She allegedly tried to shoot up YouTube. There I am in Pagosa Springs a year later after I see massive shadow ban on my own channel, massive poverty and loss of monetization on videos that are just discussing consciousness and relationships and injustice and things around the world, demonetized. And this woman with an attitude that I worked with at the malt shop in Pagosa says to me when she hears that I had a beef with YouTube, well, don't go shoot anything up. Already profiling me because of the alleged actions of an angry Iranian woman. So, the mainstream conspiracy theorists today think they're so awake compared to the far leftists and the moderate leftists and Democrats. And they are not able to see their own blind spots or to take accountability for the years and years of fake predictions that have come from their own people, as they have made tribalism king. No matter how many times Chris Green or Alex Jones or others lied to them and deceived them and reveal their dark side in a number of ways, and their greed, the people were made loyal. Just as Donald Trump said, and this applies to others, they could shoot someone in New York City and get away with it. It's not just Trump, it's not just Jones, it's also Biden. There's going to be the loyalists to Biden. Some people, Biden can shoot somebody. And as long as he just seems to be the resistance to the Trump threat, hashtag Trump threat, Biden will still be seen as the savior and the resistance to white supremacy. When I see Biden himself as a hateful person for misleading the American people by misstating the facts about how and why specifically the Taliban came back into power. It's not because the Afghani people wanted them to come back into power, but on that note, why would that even happen for those that did? Because the Taliban, to some people, is seen as something that will provide structure, as the U.S. has killed many innocent Afghans under the guise of fighting the Taliban. So for some peasants out there that don't have a choice, that don't have another political system to turn to, the Taliban comes in and says, we will bring you order, we will bring you structure, we will kick the U.S. out, we will change things. So a lot of people out there that don't have information, that don't have access to the internet, they're easily controlled, as are the American people. People think they have access to a lot of information. People think they're intelligent. We have lots and lots of media. You can have, it's like all you can watch buffet. You don't have to pay shit. You can watch all the porn you want. You can watch all the murder you want now on Twitter. Which is another thing. Why is Elon Musk showing you so much murder and snuff films? It's brainwashing. It doesn't mean that it's quality entertainment. I can create quality content, but unless it's put in front of the right people, it's pearls before swine. Which is why right now, with this full moon energy and the energy that I'm feeling right now with the sun, I'm going to create a lot of content and share those views. But it's not going to be shared all at once on the main YouTube channel, because for years, the people that I've been speaking to are only receptive to a certain level of truth. Also, there seems to be limits to the growth. The channels aren't really growing, they're shrinking. And so in a way, right, we're in our own little echo chambers on the internet when we're trying to share information often. And I want to learn new techniques for breaking outside the box of the algorithmic control that limits the content that I create to a certain amount of people. But I'm not going to be greedy and naive. I'm not going to jump in with both feet into the BitChute apocalypse. There's too much hate on that server. So for the same reason that I avoid certain hateful websites and other websites, I avoid BitChute and those easy clicks that I can get because I know where people's heads are at. I've taken snapshots you haven't seen yet, all year long, of channels that are promoted on BitChute that promote violence towards immigrants, that show cartoon characters punching immigrants and people with turbans in the face. Okay? Do you understand? Can you hear me now? I'm seeing videos of the Hindu extremists attacking Muslims, trying to light their balls on fire in some cases, attacking kids with large sticks. What is this intended to do? To provoke a backlash? As the burning of the Quran goes on in Sweden, as the burning of the Quran goes on in some other places in London, as mosques are destroyed in Gaza, as 30 to 40,000 are massacred, at least 10,000 children in Gaza since the October eclipse. So what if this shit's been going on for years? Who was there first? Who? Germany. Germany stands with Israel. They want to prevent it. The Nazism from returning again. We're going to label the Palestinians Nazis, but the Nazism came out of Germany, and Germany is going to stand with Israel. See, everything going on right now is backwards. This is why you have suicides. This is why you have sickness. This is why you have people taking harmful pharmaceuticals and not even realizing that what they think is schizophrenia, what they think is mental illness, is just their body's natural allergic reaction to the evil in this world, okay? There's no sign of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. That's a famous quote, probably known in world languages around the world. But mainstream psychiatrists, mainstream mental health professionals, they've never heard that quote. A friend sent me a book on being a life coach last year. At the time, I was borderline insulted. How can you say that I could be a life coach after all the shit that I have been through? I'm never going back to the internet. The world is fucked. People can't be helped. If I try to help people, they would just try to stab me, just like so many others try to stab me or humiliate me for just trying to wake them up to different ideas on the sun in China. No, I'm done. Well, some time has passed. And with this solar cycle getting more active, and with these eclipses, changes have occurred with me. And if I can do it, the shit that I've been through, come back to the internet out of the shit that I've been through, after putting all that money for years into living off grid and feeling that I couldn't live off grid and selling that land at a loss, and then coming back, living with nothing, not even having retirement into my future, giving everything to this. The ultimate sacrifice, not even obsessing on how I'm gonna be living when I'm old. Okay? Living now in the moment. building my future through the content that I'm creating. Okay? And letting God do the rest. If God is going to let me suffer, God's going to let me suffer. The truth is, there are many, many poets and seers and Sufis, including the teacher of this guy, that died slowly and painfully. Okay? People out there that want to just, mix the idea of spirituality with living together in this world, they're making a mistake. This world is not paradise. The song from the 1980s that played the other day, as I mocked it days earlier, played the other day, Synchronicity at the grocery store, heaven is a place on earth. I don't think so. And that is one of the deeper spiritual teachings in the spiritual books, that this is not paradise, that this is a fallen world. Okay? Well, the true creator is in control of all. In this world, though, this prison planet, the physics of this world, the dominant psychologies of this world, and energies of this world are calibrated and engineered to execute certain programs on the souls that enter into this world. It's like a dude walking into the pen and then being mocked. People saying, yeah, baby, gonna get that ass. We enter into this prison world with people trolling and hating and disliking our light and being afraid of our ideas. Okay? Don't expect people to be enlightened in a prison. Okay? You want to get out of the prison. So people here in this world, I've said it multiple times, the devil has three primary biggest tricks. Convincing humanity that doesn't exist, convincing humanity that good people are evil and evil people are good. I see a lot of that sometimes, and some of the attacks my way. You're so evil. You're the reason the world is the way that it is. Wow, I'm that powerful? And three, the devil's third biggest trick, convincing humanity that they don't have to prepare for the hereafter, that they can do anything that they want, that they can slander others, that they can harm others, and God is not going to punish them. They can think that they can make shit up about people or cause people, to harm others through their propaganda. Or they can vote for people that murder people because they make them feel good. They give them a mental orgasm. They make them come inside when they speak on stage about law and order and bang their fists while they're full of shit the whole time, while they push the vaccine the whole time, while he took us deeper into debt the whole time. But they don't give a shit. They give a shit about people that won't believe like them, like that scene from The Wall with Roger Waters. Look at that person. He doesn't look right. Get him up against the wall. Against the wall. A lot of people like to blame the hippies for why the world is the way that it is. If I can go back and live in that era, I'd be honored to know people in that era of time before humanity, before this country became so corrupt. To live in the day and age in which my dad lived in old Portland. Those were beautiful times. In a future video, I'm going to show you pictures of Portland 70s to the song by Nicolette Larson, A Lot of Love. It is going to take a lot of love to change the way things are. And the people of this generation, I say that word to describe the people alive today, regardless of when you were born. This generation, not my generation, then your generation, Dad, but our generation. We are witnessing a massive transformation from the cassette tape to the VHS tape to the DVD to the implantable potential microchip to the singularity. We have gone like this. And so why then fear a solar flare eradicating the grid? If the grid is now destroying us, if we are being exterminated by this technology, why then are the most intelligent people on the air, seemingly, Tucker, Alex, others, promoting fear of these events without realizing that there is a role that God is playing in this, above everything that the New World Order is doing. Okay, so, many, many ways, people do promote fear of the system and take people away from God, and people are led away from God, even if they don't know it, when they're led into hate and judging God's creation and thinking that murder is okay, and then bearing false witness is okay, which is the spreading of false news. They could say that they worship Jesus all they want, but they're really spreading a false doctrine of genocide. And while they may get away with it in this lifetime and make a lot of money and not deal with any consequences, that's the deception. And it's just like going into deeper and deeper levels of debt until one day the collector comes. And when you're dealing with the mob in the old days and the collector comes, it's not a good day. You can end up with a broken finger, a broken face, a broken nose. It's not a pretty business. You know, we're living on borrowed time here in America. And a time is coming, a day is coming, in which America is going to have to pay those that it owes. And the children of America are going to suffer. And we will stand before the world court as all the crimes of the West is brought up. They did this on this day. This was said on this day. These people were destroyed on this day. This alliance was made with Israel on this day. And they did this to this people on this day. And you think they're going to, make some sort of an exception to the American people because we weren't the ones that pushed the button? Think again. Look at all the innocent people in the Middle East. They didn't do shit to you on 9/11. And yet they were conditioned, many of the people that went overseas were conditioned to view all of them as the enemy. Some of them are pumped full of steroids and drugs as they went on killing sprees. And I'm supposed to lay down and think that this is normal? I'm supposed to lay down and think that these are my heroes? I'm supposed to lay down and think that these are people that are making America look good before the world, before China attacks America in the coming years? This was all by design, I said long time ago, to destroy the image of the Marine and the military. And now look at where we are. Look at how they have changed things within the military to make it weaker. Look at how they have things so spread out. Look at how they have changed policies within the military to bring people in that are not necessarily the most competent at the job. And that's the truth, without being discriminatory. Okay, so they've sabotaged not only the military, but you can even say the lives of some veterans that they've made sick, that they poisoned. We're not just talking about Agent Orange in Vietnam. There's a lot of people's parents out there that have been, whose lives and organs have been destroyed from their service to the system. So we need to get beyond the brainwashing that being critical of the system is hating America. That's bullshit. If you don't love it, leave it. Like seriously, if you love this country and you love this Constitution and you love freedom and you love aspects of our park and nature before it's all fucking chopped up and made fucking smart malls and sold to fucking China. No, if you love it, you stand up for it. Okay, there's so many things in our society that's there to brainwash us. So many slogans, so many talking points. Wake up, I command. In the name of Jesus, in the name of Buddha, in the name of Krishna, in the name of the true God of all that there is, wake up. Okay, let's find something else. If you don't take that path, then you don't reach your inheritance until the grave. But because we said the diamond was already given, if God wants you to reach that diamond to take your inheritance, you'll get it in the grave. But the grave, unfortunately, is 70,000 times more difficult. If you're worried about seeing something here during your zikar, your divine remembrance, then taking a break and having some fresh air, what do you do in the grave when there is no break? And you've seen exactly what God wants you to see, and you eat and bite you, and this is difficulty of the grave. I don't fully understand that one. But there are some real gems in this book. I don't understand all of it. It talks about meditation. How can we accelerate our spiritual growth? Okay. We have to every night contemplate that light that God gave us, that in the presence of these lights and asking, dress me and bless me from these lights and let this light within my heart grow. And as I'm breathing and meditating and listening to the Holy Book and breathing, trying to make that meditation powerful for myself and trying to dress myself from that reality, the more you become stronger, the more your prayer will be your meditation. That you're in a connection, that you're asking to be dressed by the lights of God, dressed by the holy lights. This means this is a whole practice, a whole way of life. I've already gone through this whole book. So there's sections of this that are worth remembering. He talks about, basically Satan, Shaitan also messing with people over email. People think that, a message is getting clear when you send an email. Not necessarily. It's through the voice and direct communication that things are clear. So right now, there's a lot of confusion, okay? How can we control our fear? This is our greatest danger. What's happening now is Shaitan is ruling by fear, and we talk, and the website is everything tagged. He's talking about more content on his website that discusses this. But fear is how he is operating in the last days, because fear is the opposite of faith. And faith is a light and a guidance that comes into the heart. That light that comes into the heart when we begin to teach the meditation, contemplation. It's the anger and the ignorance that makes the fire within people's hearts. It means that people have anger in their heart, they have an ignorance on their being. Then everyone is ruled by them, is fire. So the reality is to conquer ignorance and bring guidance. As soon as guidance begins to come into the heart, the teachings, the way it comes into the heart, a light will begin to enter into the heart. That guidance begins to take down that anger. Okay. So what can we say about that? A lot of people are led into anger. Some of it is mind control. Some people could be affected by electromagnetic weapons and they can become angry. And as I've been teaching you about the sun, some people can go through hormonal changes and brainwave changes when there's a geomagnetic storm, and that unsettled aggression within them can become activated and they can become angry and violent, okay? And that, of course, changes their field, okay? So spiritual people do not react automatically with anger, and they don't glamorize Jesus Christ as a violent, homicidal maniac who likes to beat people up just because there's a story in the Bible about Jesus flipping over the table. Like, my God, there are literally people on YouTube trying to make Jesus Christ out to be a violent psychopath with no spirituality, or just some sort of a warrior. There are literally people out there that are taken over by the dark forces, by Shaitan's whisperings, by the voices in the skull technology, however you want to label it and perceive it to be. It is what it is, and I don't really see a difference. People want to say, oh, it's technology. Why are some convinced that the aliens out there don't have any technology that's way beyond anything mankind has ever known? As I said to you before, it's as if the unseen realms that have manipulated mankind are able to see us when we light up, when the sun is more active, like Predator seeing Stallone's heat wave until Stallone covers up his body with mud so he can hide from the Predator. Same thing with humanity. Same thing when I say stay inside when there's an eclipse in April. Don't go out during that period. When I said don't go out in October, after October of 2023, and we saw more violence, we saw more crime in our world, right? Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger putting on the mud, you need to get out of Dodge and stay away from unclean, unstable people when we go through these periods. I've said enough. These programs are airing, by the way, right? In Portland, Oregon, some of them, not all of them. Also, you can find the videos on my main YouTube channel. Just look for me on the internet. Be subscribed to alexansary.substack.com. There's going to be music, like the music that I listen to, that I'm going to be sharing in some podcasts, maybe once a week or once every few weeks, plus the weekly TV show, plus the other videos that I throw in, plus the blogs that are going to be over at alexansary.substack.com. You can email me if you want to send some music, if you want to volunteer, if you want to be an editor of either my blogs or future ebooks, plural ebooks. So it's a big job needing maybe a team of people. Solarstream333@proton.me. Also OTBTV.net. And if you want more sources and documentation on how we're affected by the solar flares, look at the archive of blogs and information. Spend a half hour there at solarmaxnews.com. That's solarmaxnews.com. And if you're new to this information and my channel, check out my interview with George Norrie on Coast to Coast AM. I'm Alex Ansary, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within.